feel like you got this?
Yeah.
Okay. So those are more of like cosmetic things, like lipstick, right? So you can set them from the beginning and you don't have to worry about it the rest of the day, type of thing, okay? So now let's work on, we're gonna work on when you're snapping your wrist. Okay, you saw I showed you that on video, right? So let me get you a marker out, another marker out here. And remember, different is always okay. Different, when something feels different or awkward, when you're doing something new is okay, because that's all part of the process. If it doesn't feel different in the beginning, then you're not doing anything different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I had you write left-handed, you write right-handed, right? If I had you write left-handed, that's weird, right? But if you did that if you couldn't write, if say you broke your hand, you had to write left-handed for a month or two. I had friends that broke their wrist, hand, finger, something like that, where they couldn't write right-handed. They had to go left for like months. They got really good at writing left-handed where it felt comfortable, right? So over time, that awkwardness will get comfortable, right? We just got to make sure we're going down the bumpers of the bowling alley, right? We have bumpers; those are our rules. I don't care how that ball, what path it goes down the bumpers, just as long as it stays between the bumpers. Like our bumper, here's a bumper, right? Our hands don't go above this bumper, right? Our finger pressure, starting and end it when we need to. Those are our bumpers. You can do whatever you want in there, but I want you squeezing it hard within those bumpers. Does that make sense? Same thing with this. These are our bumpers. As long as you're in this position, how that looks, feels. I mean, you could be like a Pete Rose. Pete Rose used to be, I mean, like this, right? I'm not expecting you to be like that, but he's got the hunch. He just had more of a hip hinge. But just as long as you got the hunch, the hollow position. Again, that's a strong position in gymnastics. They use that as a transition from they call the arch. So when they're swinging this way, like that way, you'll see them in an arch position where they're kind of holding on this way and they're arched, and then as they come back, they're getting into hollow, and they go between arch, hollow, arch, hollow. So hollow is very, very strong. You see that in the iron cross. You see them in a hollow position where they're holding the rings, right? And they're pulling the legs up in front of them, and they're just holding out here like this. You're seeing them in a hollow position. Okay, very good position. When I say hunch position, it's kind of negative connotation, because we think hunch isn't a good position to be in. But when we're hitting, it is a good position, because this movement is not good for your lower back. It's not. So when we go into hunch, it's like we put a safety guard on your spine. So now when you get into this position, you take a swing, boom, I can go a lot harder now, because your brain says, all right, Zach, we can let it go, because I don't have to protect anymore. But when you go neutral or you go into an arch position, the brain's got to protect the back, so it's not going to allow your performance to go 100%. Does that kind of make sense? Kind of, sort of. The vertebrae in your back, you know, they have a little space between, or in your spine, you have a little space in between them in neutral, right? When you go into arch, there's no space almost. When you go into hollow, a lot of space. It's like a decompress. It's like a spine decompress. Much safer to move from. Okay. All right. So I like to tell you the why. Even though if you don't understand it yet, we'll plant the seed, because we're going to talk about it more, and then eventually you're going to go, oh yeah, I remember you said that. Oh, I can connect the dot to this, you know, and you start associating stuff. So I do want you to know. All right, we're going to start off. Okay, what this is going to look like. Let me see your back. Come on over here. So move this out of the way so that you can see what I'm doing. So this is where our wrist snap's going to be. So that move. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to move it. This is going to be kind of more of the out in front, and then we're going to bring it back a length, and then bring it even back a length more. We're going to practice on different rounds. The first round we're going to practice with it more out in front of you, okay, or more in line with your landing foot. So what this is going to look like, you do this however you want, however it feels. Make sure we set up like we're supposed to, get our hunch, our finger pressure, all that stuff's still on, keeping the hands below, right? What I want you to do now, and maybe we'll start off the tee to just kind of make it simple, is as you get here, I want you to flick it right over this. As it's passing over, as your hands are passing over this red line, I want you to flick it, okay? If I go deep, which we will on a round, so it's going to look similar, but it's going to be a lot farther back. So you're going to go here. See how I flicked it sooner, okay? So what we're trying to do is, this is going to be a good defender against off speed. So if you get out in front and you're out here, you can delay and then flick when you need to, right? Okay. You don't even have to swing that hard. Just doing this is going to help big time. We could also take this And we can, so I'm gonna soft toss you, okay? No matter where I throw the ball, yeah, no matter where I throw the ball, maybe we could try it. We have to pull it. So if I move it back here, you still got to pull it. No matter where you're flicked back here, but I could throw a ball out here, but you got to, or I could throw a ball back here. You got to figure out how to get around that thing and hit it as hard as you can, pulling wise. So wherever I throw the ball, you got to hit it. If we decide that this first round, I'm not going to make you hit it to a certain field with it. I'm just going to have you feel it out first. But we can make it to where, all right, so we put it out here, but I want you to hit every ball this way, no matter where I throw it. I could throw it out here, but you got to figure out how to go and whip it that way. So what the main benefit of this is average. This will increase your average, because if you have barrel control, you can whip it wherever you need to. Then that's going to be so much easier for you to control where that ball's going in the field, right? The best thing we could do is get out on the big field out here. If these guys, these hairy back knuckle draggers weren't out here, and we could set up targets out in the field, right, left center, right center. We could put some down the lines. We can put some, over the shortstop, second baseman's head. Kind of like on a golf course, when you're golfing range, right? And we can practice hitting those different targets, whipping it around, right? It's a great way to do it. And here we don't have a lot of time to go out and shag and whatnot. If we had a team, we could do it that way. But it's barrel control. Huge. This is a huge thing that nobody's doing right now. You know who was really good at this? Old-time hitter? Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron was really good at this. You'd see him get out front, even on an outside pitch, and he wanted to hook it over here, you'd see him go and hook it. And he would hit it hard, double down the line. I mean, the guy had almost, I don't know what he ranked in doubles. He had a lot of doubles, a lot of triples, obviously a lot of home runs. But he had really good barrel control. Very, very good. They said he was a wrist hitter, which is probably true because that's what they saw. Yeah. They saw this, but it worked. It worked, Okay, so let's go. You want to go T or soft toss with this? You want to try T first? Okay. So let's go T. And that'll also help you maintain the other points that we were talking about too, or control the other points we were talking about. Okay. Yeah. So let me, I'll move the T around still. Keep it in and out. All right. So this red thing is just where you're flicking. Okay. That's okay. You haven't done this before, so you want to try it out? Just kind of a couple of dry ones, because you haven't done this before. So just kind of feel it out. You'll get it. To where you can barrel it, where you can square it up. There you go. Okay. Did you feel that was a little bit more out in front of that? That was more out here. Try it one more time. There you go. Okay. Let's try it. And you see me for the first time in a year and you got all this weird stuff getting thrown at you, huh? Try and hit it as hard as you can, as far as you can with the flick there, kind of more behind you. Okay, all right. So start with our mechanical checklist. Hunch, how do we do? Any of those we didn't? I saw you working out pretty hard. Good there. Finger pressure? Any of those we lose it on, or? I think so. I lost it though. Okay, because you were thinking about this now. Okay, and then what would you say, about 3? Yeah. You got pretty good. 2 of them maybe. Yeah. Okay. And then the hands, any of those come up? Yeah, I mean, you were getting close, but it was probably like, you know, like in football, you hit the white chalk line and you're out, you know. But as long as you're not getting above this, I mean, you can get in here into the yellow line and you're fine. It's when you get above it that's the problem. So I think you're all good there. Any of these you feel like you were a little too front, behind it with the flick? Yeah, a little bit. And the more you do this, the better you're going to get with being precise. You just have no frame of reference for this. You've never done it before, right? What was the difference between when the inside pitch versus outside pitch and still flicking at the same point? What did you feel?
For some reason, I just felt like the inside one was a little bit harder. The outside
it was easier to flick?
Yeah.
Ah.
I don't know why.
Were you flicking it a little sooner?
Yeah.
There on the outside pitch?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
That's why I really felt easier.
Okay. All right. Well, let's try it without the tee. Let's go. Let's just progress up. Let's use this bat now. We'll keep that there. You know what? Let's pick them up. With the frog tape bat. And again, we're probably not gonna get there today. But we could, like I said, we could do the flick, and I can tell you can only hit it to certain parts.
Yeah.
Right. Also, the reason why this is on here, I could also tell you, only hit this part, only hit this part, only hit this part, right? So we can make this barrel awareness thing really tough, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Like if you just focused on the frog tape, you know, when like some sessions, that's all we do. We just focus on hitting a certain part of the barrel and hitting it in a certain direction, right?
Yeah.
So I could say hit the outside tape and go, I'll pull everything, no matter where I toss it, right? Again, we could do the same thing with this, but let's just keep it simple. We're flicking out in front with a different bat now,
Right.
okay, with soft toss. Do your best. I know these mechanical things, you're going to start forgetting some of them, and that's okay. All right, so no matter where I throw it, I want that flick being right over that red mark, okay? Two more, right? Two more. Last one. Okay, so start with the mechanical stuff. How do we do with finger pressure?
Yeah, all right.
Better than last round?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe like 4 again, back to our 4. How about hunch? Seemed to look okay? Yeah, I didn't, you know, every one I saw you taking care of that. Again, it's like before a pilot takes off, he's got a checklist of stuff, right? That he's got a checklist before he even flies the plane or gets it going.
Yeah.
So it's just like one of those. It's just check marking. All right, am I good? I'm ready to start my swing, right? So it's an easy, like I said, it's lipstick. You just make sure that you got it turned on. Just leave it from there. Same thing with the hands. As long as the thumb's not getting above the armpit, and we keep it there from the start, that's a check. We just check it off before we even start the swing, right?
Yeah.
It's just finger pressure. Now we start getting into, okay, as the swing starts, now I gotta kind of think about that.
Yeah.
So, but it's still, it's a hand cue, and it's an easier thing than us worrying about what angle your knee needs to be in when you land. That's a lot harder to do. Okay, so how do we do any of those flicks beyond or in front of where you need it to be?
I'd say I only did one, like probably like right
Right on it?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
I want to say about like
3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
So what happened on 4? 4, it sounded good to me. It sounded like the best one to me. So would you feel like the flick was? You feel like it was beyond it?
It felt like I was behind it.
Behind it a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this is data that you should be sinking in and thinking about where you need to be flicking.
Yeah.
Right? So some hitters, they need to feel like they're flicking beyond it, and maybe that's where they barrel it up, right? Some you might need to think you need to do it before it, so that's where you feel like you can barrel it up, because that sounded the best to me. 4 and 5 look better to me than some of the other ones. Like you finally kind of formulated where that needs to happen in order to hit it as hard as you can, as far as you can, because that's the main objective. Hit this ball as hard as you can, as far as you can, right? We haven't started doing direction yet, but hitting as hard as you can, as far as you can, while flicking it in that position. Okay. So now let's try some earlier ones now. So let's slide this back a little bit. Same thing. Everything else is the same, except you're just flicking it in a different spot. Go back to your bat. You think this is working timing at all? Timing?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't a lot of timing, but it is timing, right?
Yeah.
But by us switching your bats, you're working timing. Like your brain has to, when you go to this bat or when you go back to that bat from either of those, you got to switch timing wise. It's not the same as seeing this out here. We're not gonna have enough time today to do out here today. I just want to keep doing this because I feel like you're growing, you're taking steps forward, right, with this. But of course, that's going to be the best when we're out here doing the same thing, you know, going between two plates. But we are getting some timing practice in here. Yeah, it is. Even though you're not thinking it is because we're switching bats. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now everything's the same except for where we're flicking it. Okay. Right. No matter where I throw it, I could throw it out here. You still got to flick it at the same spot. I could throw it behind you. You got to flick it at the same spot. Okay. Harder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so start with hunch. Look good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's starting to get more automatic now. Finger pressure?
I feel good about it now.
Good, all five?
On it, yeah.
All five? Good, okay. Does it help? It seemed to, well, let me ask you this. So how many of those did we either go beyond or before the flick?
I'd say about like 3.
3 of them? Okay. More before or more after?
So,
What'd you say?
I'm gonna say in front though.
More in front?
Yeah.
Okay, so you like that. You like the one before. You like where we set that red marker before. Kinda.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like switching it.
So now you kinda like this?
Yeah, I like this one though.
This one better?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the question I was gonna ask relating it to that? Oh, are you finding that when you focus on finger pressure that you feel like that is a little easier to do?
Yeah.
Like where you flick it?
Yeah.
Remember, your fingers are your eyes. Eyes are your fingers, right? So the minute you start squeezing and you focus on that more, it's gonna make it easier for you to flick wherever you need to flick. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds, or to me it sounds like that's what's happening. If you're telling me all 5, I focused on it, and those look better, those 5 swings look better than the swings before, where we set it more out in front. And you know, you had 4, I think, 3 or 4 or something like with the finger pressure, but this one you said you focused on it more. What else? Hands being okay, not getting too high. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you noticed there?
No, not really.
Not too bad. How's it feeling, these swings versus the old swings before we started any of this today? How are these swings feeling? Just overall. Like bat ball contact. Like how does contact feel
like
to you?
it's coming off the bat harder.
Harder?
Faster.
Mm-hmm.
Making better contact.
More consistent contact?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Much better. Okay, so now let's go same round. We'll keep the flick at the same spot, but now go to the heavy bat. Last one. Felt good there?
Yeah.
That's how your eyes light up.
I just have to concentrate on the finger pressure.
Is that interesting?
Yeah.
Interesting. So did you lose the finger pressure a couple of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Figured it out.
And now, how did you lose it? Why? Do you know why? You lost the finger pressure in the beginning?
I just stopped thinking about it.
You stopped thinking about it, but what were you thinking about instead? Something obvious. Something obvious. What are you swinging different? What are you swinging different? It's heavier, isn't it? So you started thinking about how heavy the bat is, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then you said, then your brain goes, Zach, dude, you're not even doing finger pressure anymore. And then you do it, and bam, now you can handle it, right? You seen how those...
Did you know it's possible to become the top 5% of coaches in 6 months? You know how frustrating it is taking the time to pick and choose the most effective coaching strategies that actually work. You may also have fears that the coaching strategies you're currently following are not validated by science. It's also a possibility you have a hopeless feeling because nothing else has worked up until now. And lastly, you may be holding a little envy for other coaches who seem to be getting their troops to cleanly execute on the field. I've discovered some of these same thoughts and more from the parents of the hitters I teach both online and off. It's a challenge for coaches, especially newer ones, but here's what I found. That it is possible to become the top 5% of coaches in 6 months when we're applying human social and psychological principles that are validated by science to coaching youth athletes. And that's why I wrote The Science of Sticky Coaching, How to Turn Ordinary Athletes into Extraordinary book that is now available for purchase on Amazon.com. Now, once you've read the book, there are a few things that both baseball and softball parents or coaches will realize. A greater sense of confidence that your coaching strategy is the same one that's supported by top 5% of teachers, parents, and coaches. A bigger sense of relief that the coaching strategy you'll learn is validated by the gold standard of science, empirical research. A constant state of joy because your new coaching strategy will make mentally tough athletes focused on the controlled process and not uncontrollable outcomes. At Hit Perform Lab, just finished Science of Sticky Coaching book, and it should be required reading for all youth baseball coaches. Hashtag belt to hat at BCATS Baseball. Please click here to get your copy on Amazon today.